Hello there everybody, it is me XFreezerBunny and welcome back to another Sims 4 speed building video. So today we're speed building another penthouse, and for this penthouse I wanted to do a build that was kind of inspired by the building that it was built on. So as you guys can see, this penthouse is built in this kind of shell located in kind of like the artsy quarters of San Myshuno. And unlike my previous penthouses, this one is actually very cohesive and very it's very well incorporated into the building that it was built on, and that was something that I really wanted to do for this penthouse because that's something that I wasn't able to do in my other penthouses. So as the name suggests, this penthouse is the Bohemian penthouse, and it's kind of inspired by the Bohemian atmosphere of the arts quarters of San Myshuno. And initially I was gonna go for kind of like an industrial type of look to it, just because this building that it was built on had kind of like that industrial vibe, you know, with all the bricks and all the steel and all the, you know, all the dark and all that stuff. But it turned out looking a lot more bohemian, so I just decided to pursue it as a Bohemian penthouse, and it actually turned out really well. I looked at some reference images on Google on like New York penthouses and like the Tribeca neighborhood of New York and all of those stuff, and yeah, it's basically very much Tribeca inspired, and it's really awesome. I'm really proud of this. Actually, I didn't expect it to be as good as it turned out to be, and I'm really happy with what I came up with in the end. And yeah, so I've built 3 penthouses before already. I mean, this is my 3rd one, but I honestly can say that I love all of my penthouses equally because all of them are just so different from each other. And, you know, like I was able to do things differently for each penthouse because my previous penthouses were a little bit more themed and a little bit more kind of creative. And this one, it's really inspired by the building that it was built on, and that's basically the main kind of inspiration for like the look and the feel and the atmosphere of this penthouse. So a while ago you guys can see me kind of try to overlap some windows and stuff because that's definitely a thing that I see other simmers do, but it didn't turn out, so I just went with some interesting modern looking windows and all that good stuff. There's actually a lot of really interesting things happening in this penthouse. You know, there's a lot of green, surprisingly, and there's just a lot of really interesting things that I was able to do here. Like, I love the hot tub area, which you guys will see later on, and I just really like how it turned out. It was pretty awesome. And I also like these kind of trellis things. There is going to be plants or foliage there later on, but yeah. So, the thing is, initially I was very much against making penthouses that looked like they were kind of a part of the building, just because I thought that it was going to be very difficult to make things differently. Because the thing is, unlike The Sims 2 or The Sims 3 apartments, penthouses in The Sims 4, you couldn't really change the base penthouse or the shell, so you're basically stuck with the same looking shell and you just have to figure out how the penthouse is gonna look. Now the thing is, if we try to make it, well, you know, in my mind, if every simmer out there tried to make a penthouse that was, you know, that looked the same as the building that it was built on, then all of the penthouses would look the same. That's kind of the reason why initially I was very much against making penthouses that was, that was supposed to look like the building that it was built on. But I eventually came to terms with the fact that there's really not much customizability in The Sims 4, and we're just gonna have to deal with it. So it was definitely a challenge for me to build something different, because there's so many amazing kind of industrial themed penthouses out there. Like, there's just so many, but a couple of my favorites are The Sim Supplies. He has this kind of one industrial penthouse. I don't really recall the name of it, but I really like that one. And also Devin Bumpkin. I think it was his very first penthouse, which he also built in the same lot. And it was also like a lot of brick and stuff, and it kind of has, all of it kind of has the same vibe, but at the same time, it also looks really different. Like my penthouse, it has a lot more kind of balconies and terraces and stuff, and it's definitely a lot more spread out, and it definitely has a lot more open space. So that's one thing that I really tried to set apart. So right now we are just pretty much dividing the penthouse into rooms, and this penthouse has 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms and an open floor plan kitchen, dining room, and living room area. Also, this video took me a lot longer because the floor plan for the main living area, I actually changed it. I spent so much time working on it, and in the end, I kind of decided to flip it over. Like the room that we're working on now, I spent quite a lot of time on it, and basically I changed my mind halfway through this build. I was like, you know what? I really want to have the kitchen next to the area that has lots of windows, because that's just my personal preference. I prefer kitchens to be well lit, and I prefer the dining room to be well lit. Just think about having breakfast in like a really dark room. That would be horrible for me. So initially I built the kitchen in this area, but eventually I decided to place it somewhere else that had a lot more light, which is on the other side of the room. So I still decided to include that process, because changing your design, I keep saying this in my builds, but changing your design, it's just part of the building process. If nothing's working, then by all means, you should feel free to change your design. I always say this because I get so many comments of people saying, why do you build so good? Why are you so good at building? Like, I can only build boxes. Here's the thing, you guys. I think that you really have to devote time into your builds. If you want to build great things, you really have to spend some time to really develop and nurture your idea. You can just, say, oh, I have 30 minutes. I'm going to build something amazing. That's not how it works. You have to think about it. You have to nurture your idea. You have to let it evolve. You have to let it ripen. And I think that's when builds are at their best, when you really have an idea and it's really just right. And you can definitely see in builds if people thought a lot about it. And for this one, I definitely gave it a lot of thought, and I also gave it a lot of work as well. So this thing took me hours and hours to build, and a lot of those hours I actually spent decorating with the clutter. Since this is supposed to be like a Bohemian penthouse, I was like, okay, this thing needs to be cluttered AF. Beep. I have to beep that. But yeah, there's a lot of mismatched stuff going on, which is not something that I usually do. I tend to prefer something that is more cohesive and something that's a little bit more conservative. I prefer my furniture sets to match to a T. That's just my building aesthetic. But for this particular penthouse, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do some mismatch. And I found the perfect set of chairs to do that. These are chairs that came with City Living, and they kind of have the same frame, as you guys can see. But the fabrication of the chairs is different. There's a yellow one, there's a pink one. And those 2 chairs, I really love the combination of it, because it really set the tone for the rest of this penthouse, where there's a lot of things that are mismatched and stuff. So yeah. over here, you guys can still see me decorate the kitchen area. And once again, I will move it to the other side of the room, but I will keep pretty much the same layout. If we have the option to like flip the room to the other side, that would be freaking awesome. But yeah, like it's just it's not an option, even though I do appreciate the fact that in The Sims 4, we have a lot more options when it comes to kind of moving our homes and transferring our lots. Because in The Sims 3, what you would usually do is you would demolish the entire thing and, you would start from scratch. So I really appreciate that in The Sims 4, you can freely move the lots to where you want it to go. So the kitchen area has a nice kind of bar area where there's like some seating and stuff. And I also decided to kind of, as you guys can see, incorporate kind of like the dining area into the kitchen counters, if that makes any sense. I really like it. I've done this in many of my other builds before. And I really love those chairs that came with City Living because the colors that they came with are awesome. So I initially started very conservative with white chairs and stuff, but I actually decided to change those colors and mismatched all of the chairs. So each of those chairs will be a different color, and I really, really like the effect of it. It looked really awesome, and yeah, it's probably gonna change a little bit later on. Oh, there we go. So yeah, I'm changing it into different colors and I really, really like it. I also do that in my other speed builds. It was the daycare center build that I did. I also used the exact same chairs. Anyway, this is the point where I kind of noticed that it was a little bit dark. You guys can see that where the painting montage or the painting collages next to the dining room, it kind of felt really dark. So at this point, I was kind of questioning myself, like what was gonna happen, because I really didn't like it with very little light in it, even though, it's an open plan. Naturally speaking, it would have a lot of light, but I just felt like the kitchen felt like a cave more than, a vibrant open space. So this is where I started to kind of question myself whether I wanted the kitchen to be where it is and all that stuff. And over here in the corner, we have kind of like an office area, which I actually will get rid of because I didn't feel the need for it. Because like I said, the area where the living room is right now is supposed to be where the kitchen is and vice versa. So yeah. Also, this is actually supposed to be my second speed build for this year, 2017. But there's just so much stuff that came out. Toddlers came out and vampires came out, and I just had to build on those expansion packs on those updates, new stuff first. So I kept pushing this build back, actually. Very similar to my previous speed builds, which is kind of the wedding venue. These were supposed to come out earlier, but like I said, I had to keep pushing them back because there's just so much stuff that came out this year. Like, it's so surprising. So yeah. Also, I just want to point out that this speed build actually came first before I built the industrial starter house, and so many people actually watched it. I'm really surprised at how successful that one is, but I guess it makes sense because looking at The Sims, I didn't really see that many creations that are industrial starter homes, so I guess it makes sense how people would kind of really appreciate that build. But anyway, the industrial starter house was actually inspired by this build because when I started that build, I was actually well into doing this build. Actually, I was very far into the building process of this. However, I finished the industrial starter first because I needed to use it in an LP, and this one I really didn't have anywhere to use it, so I just took my time with it. And once again, I was nurturing my idea, taking my time, and really making sure that the design was on point. So there we go. We are now changing the locations of the kitchen and the living room. Basically, the kitchen and the living room switched places, which I'm so happy that I did, because it's just a lot better looking, in my opinion. I love having the dining area and the bar area well lit, especially with like natural light. It just feels so refreshing to look at, and I'm really, really happy that I made that decision, even though it probably took a lot longer to finish this build because of it. But you know, you really have to make decisions like that if nothing's working. Well, at least for myself, if I see something that doesn't work, then I would be the first person to say, okay, screw this. I'm restarting this. I'm redoing this. Like, there's one build I did for my Art Deco penthouse. And I talked about this in that build as well. But for my Art Deco penthouse, I actually built it 3 times until I was satisfied with what I had. So that just, I guess, shows you guys how fussy I am with everything that I build. Also, since I placed the living area here, I actually changed the love seat that I originally had into this one beautiful rattan wicker love seat that came with movie hangout stuff, and it's really awesome. I really wish that I would use that more often, but I don't know why, but I kind of wish that I would use that often. But it's kind of like those furniture pieces that are just a star, you know. It's like, you know, and when you're like a star piece, you kind of have to use it a little bit more conservatively, or else you kind of lose the special it factor of it. There's just some furniture items that I prefer to use less often because I want to use them in special occasions where they actually work. You know, because some items, they're not just a sofa, or it's not just a table. It's like it's a work of art. It's like a sculpture and stuff. So that's why I kind of have that mindset when I'm choosing the items. So at this point, I kind of realized that there were probably too many windows. As much as I love the light, thinking of the Sims in this house, they probably would like to have some privacy or something. So I attempted to have some curtains, but they did not work. They did not work whatsoever. They did not look good. But, you know, some of the rooms, I did put some curtains in them just so they would have some sort of privacy and stuff. And instead of curtains, I think I actually used some blinds instead, because I felt like that looked a lot better. Anyway, this room right here, it's kind of like supposed to be a guest room. You know, like the master bedroom turned out so amazing, by the way, but yeah, this almost became the master bedroom because I don't really know where to put it, but I decided to put the master bedroom upstairs because upstairs there's a lot of stuff. There's like a hot tub, there's like a lot of stuff going on upstairs, which you guys will probably see a little bit later on. But furnishing this first bedroom in this house was definitely a struggle because it took me forever to figure out what I wanted to do. You know, I wanted something that looked bohemian, but also something that looked very relaxing, you know, because sometimes bohemian can get very overwhelming. And I was like, I want something that's kind of like a chic bohemian, if that makes any sense. I don't really know. But that's basically what I wanted to do for this build. I wanted to have something bohemian, but I wanted it to be chic. I wanted it to be sophisticated. So you guys can see that I did hold back on some things, and I'm really glad that I did because it actually turned out really nice. So this bedroom, there's a lot of neutral colors, and there's like splashes of color here and there and all that stuff. I really like it. It turned out really well. Basically the base wallpaper for this build is kind of like that stucco that's peeling off of that brick texture and stuff. It's really awesome. I really liked it. And then there's like some backsplash pieces of wood or brick and stuff. Depends on the room, but I did throw in some accents just because you know, I felt like that personal touch is a very bohemian thing. And then over here, we actually had a lot of space in this window area. So I was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? so it was a struggle for sure what I wanted to put here. I decided to put that picnic thing, which I only just realized that was a picnic thing. It's something that came with Outdoor Retreat, and one of you guys actually let me know that was actually kind of like a picnic set, as opposed to as opposed to suitcase. Because for the longest time I thought that was a suitcase, so I'm just like, I feel really dumb, but it's kind of too late to change that because it's already in this build. Which also, yeah, it looks like a suitcase, but clearly there are some dining stuff in it, so I feel so dumb, but whatever. Anyway, there's also so many candles in this build. It's crazy. Like, literally there's candles everywhere. There's candles next to rugs, there's candles next to wood furniture. It is freaking insane. Like, it's kind of a huge fire hazard, but the thing is, in Bohemians, they really like their candles, like I remember it being such a big complaint for Felix and Ken, PewDiePie and Cinnamon Toast Ken, when they used to do their Broken podcast. They would complain all the time about their girlfriends buying the candles and stuff. Please tell me that you were there in those podcasts. Please tell me you were there. They would keep complaining about the freaking girlfriends and the candles and stuff. It's a thing though. I sound like a hypocrite for saying this, but I also have scented candles in my bedroom. I have like a caramel one, and I really like it. I put it right next to the air conditioner, so my bedroom literally smells like caramel all the time. I'm just like, yes. But yeah, okay, so we're now working on kind of like the guest bedroom, and it actually turned out surprisingly nice. One thing that I do in all of my penthouses is that in my modern bathrooms, I put that kind of under tile underneath that bathtub where it's kind of like a pebbly texture type of thing, and I really like it actually. That's why I use it. Basically, all of my penthouse builds have that under tile texture underneath the bathtub, but it's something I really like. I really like the texture of it, and I don't know what I was doing here. I probably ran to the kitchen to get some water or something, or maybe ran to the bathroom for like a quick pee or something. Once again, sorry if you're eating, but this pause is like really weird. Okay, there we go. I'm back. Yeah, probably ran to get like a snack or something. So that was a really long pause. Anyway, so yeah, this guest bathroom actually turned out really well. I'm a little bit worried that there is not that much privacy in this bathroom, and hopefully that's not a problem for people, but The Sims don't really give a crap about privacy, so like yeah, they're gonna have to take a bath or take a dump right next to like a floor to ceiling window, because that's just how it works. You guys will also probably notice like some oriental influences in this build. Like there's like some items like that divider over there that looks very oriental. Also, like a lot of the mirrors that I used are the mirrors that came with, I believe, movie hangout stuff. It's kind of like the flower shaped mirror that comes in a bunch of different awesome colors. So that also looked really oriental. And of course the silks that I used and stuff, they look really oriental as well. So I'm really happy with it. I do put curtains on those glass doors because I was so fussy about like the privacy and stuff. I was like, okay, these Sims need their privacy, so just I don't know. It's not even like 100% privacy, because whether we like it or not, there are some areas that are just so exposed to the outside. But yeah, it's fine, it's all good. So we're working on, oh my gosh, that was like the most epic voice crack ever. Yeah, like I said, we're working on the master bedroom, and I have to say that this is probably one of my favorite bedrooms that I've ever done, because it has so much personality. I love especially the use of the blinds on the windows. I feel like the blinds are becoming my new favorite thing, because I use them in all my recent builds and they look so awesome. They looked so versatile, and they also look really modern, and that's pretty awesome. I actually initially used this kind of Japanese inspired bed, but I really wanted to use the canopy 4-poster bed that came with City Living. So I literally forced it into this build. I had to change those windows because, I had to put a canopy bed. I just had to put it. And also this room is really long and narrow, so I had to put a divider in between it and like a sitting area. And then on the other side of that, there is actually like a computer area or like an office area. And speaking of an office area, I actually forgot, but there is an office area downstairs. It's right next to the guest bedroom, but I forgot to furnish it in the video, so I will actually furnish it off camera instead, because it's just so funny, because I don't know why, I was just so excited to wrap this video up and get started building on my other builds, because when I did this build, it was before, like, I think majority of this build was finished before Vampires came out. So by the time Vampires was coming closer, I was so excited to build my Haunted Mansion themed stuff, and I'm just like, okay. I was so excited that I actually forgot to furnish like the office area, which is okay, because looking at the length of this build, I would probably edit some things out, and definitely the first thing on my list would be that office area. So I don't really mind not being able to record it, because I would probably have edited it out anyway. Also, I just realized that I didn't change the bed on the master bedroom. I kept the freaking Japanese inspired bed. So I'm just like, what am I thinking? Yeah, unfortunately, to my disappointment as well, I was not able to use the 4-poster bed again. Like, I'm so sad, but it's all good. I will use it in my other builds, #goals. But yeah, like I said, those blinds really make such a big difference. And the one item that I actually really wanted to use is those kind of like fairy lights with pictures that came, I think it was supposed to be for the kids, but I just thought that it would be perfect for the master bedroom, so I had to put it there. Also, I did this thing with the sinks, which is really awesome. I also did it downstairs, but the sinks, it has like, it's in between these two counter areas, which is really awesome. And also, I love what I did here with the barbecue area, where I kind of put a lot of wall plants, and I really don't use those wall plants like whatsoever. I think they came with, Get Together, but they look really good in corners, so I was really happy with how they looked. This outdoor area right here, the one that we decorated earlier, it had like the grass texture for the floor, and the reason why I chose to give it that grass texture is because being able to walk barefoot is such an amazing sensation, and that's something that you really don't get to experience in a city. I was lucky enough to have grown up and have been raised in like a rural area here in the Philippines. So I was able to walk barefoot in our garden, at my leisure. But people in the city don't really get to do that. So I was like, that sensation of walking barefoot on grass is amazing. And the person who lives here definitely wants that. So that area right there, right there next to the barbecue area, it's just a really long strip of grass, which they can walk in or whatever, they can exercise or whatever, they can do push-ups. I don't know. Interesting fact, me and my brother used to wrestle in the grass. When you have a sibling and you're kind of play fighting, and that's kind of what I used to do with my brother. We would play fight in the grass, and we would end up eating some of the grass accidentally, so it's so funny. But yeah, this area right here is kind of like the party place, which has a lot of really fun stuff. It has the bar, it has the stereo, it has it has like a lot of really awesome stuff is what I'm trying to say, and I really like how it turned out. For the outside, I did try to go a little bit more subtle with like the bohemian aspect. You guys will see that it still turned out really bohemian because of the textures and the plants and all of the natural stuff happening, but I did definitely go for something a little bit more subtle for the outside because the inside was already so colorful, it was so vibrant and stuff that I didn't feel like the outside needed to be, you know, contrasting with that. I'm happy having the outside complement that, so yay. So just adding in a bunch of clutter items over here, and yeah, it turned out really well. I wanted a little bit more clutter items. I don't even know what I'm looking for here, but you guys can see that literally like maybe 20% of this build, actually probably even more, like 30% of this build is just me putting clutter items. So yeah, it's kind of, it's a problem, especially when like I tend to overly decorate things. It's just, it tends to get really problematic because the video ends up really long. So yeah. Also, I actually do an interesting thing where I combine identical tables that are different sizes here, and I put like some plants in them. Upstairs, I put like some, I think I put like, there we go, I put like a tray table and stuff. It turned out really nice. It was such an interesting way to have those, so yay. And then also, yes, there is a wind chime. It's something that came with backyard stuff, and once again, never used it ever in a build. So there's a couple of them in this build, and you know, I feel like that's also a really bohemian thing. So yeah, I also really wanted to incorporate this table with the umbrella in it, and I only just realized this recently. I literally don't look at the items whatsoever. I don't really look at the items in detail because I just realized this as well. But that umbrella thing has kind of like a translucent tarp on it, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I did not realize that it had this initially. But yeah. So basically, the entire trellis area is absolutely covered with plants here. So all of the trellis areas upstairs are going to be covered with plants, but I will edit some of it out because it tends to be a little bit repetitive. You guys basically get the idea of how the trellises are supposed to look. And yeah, it actually turned out really nice. Like, because the trellises are there, it made this build look a lot more bohemian, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Also, in case you guys haven't noticed, I'm still having some voice problems, and don't worry, I am going to see the doctor in probably like 2 weeks. I have gone to like a specialist, and they advised me to give it a month and just take some medication for it and see what they can do, and I'm looking forward to going back to the doctor in a couple of weeks because I am really noticing that my voice is being so inconsistent. Like, there are days where I can speak fine, and there's also days where I just cannot talk, and I feel like it's the cold, because honestly, it's like so cold in my country right now, and I don't use blankets. I don't really know. You know, the Philippines is a tropical country, so you don't really need to have blankets or comforters and stuff. But I have a blanket in my bed. But this is so weird. I don't even know why I'm talking about it. But I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys are worried about me. But I mean, yeah, such a weird thing to bring up. I don't use blankets. Whatever. Anyway, I actually sleep with a blanket on, but subconsciously I just take it off me for some strange reason. I don't know. I'm just so used to not using it. Anyway, I love what I did here with the hot tub area. It's kind of like a hot tub that's a little bit more private because it has the curtains in it. And yeah, it's pretty awesome. Can you woohoo in hot tubs? I'd like to think that you can woohoo in hot tubs. I really think so. Or you could make out, and if you want some privacy, you can probably draw the curtains and stuff. It's It turned out really awesome. I'm so proud of that. And that hot tub area, it's like one of my favorites. I will also do a similar thing upstairs in like the uppermost level, where instead of a hot tub, there is a bed. And you guys know what that means. There's like a little bit of a woohoo area upstairs. And that's kind of my intention. The people who live here are they're basically really sexy and really rich people, okay? I didn't bother coming up with a backstory because I feel like all of the items in this build can speak for itself and can really speak for who the people living here are. And they're basically very, how should we say this, very instinctively driven people. They are very liberated people. They're very liberal, and they don't really care if people see them doing woohoo from, you know, the other buildings that overlook this place. There is a little bit of privacy. I will give them that. There is a little bit of privacy, so yeah. Also, there's a problem here upstairs that I noticed. Some of the windows downstairs was kind of problematic and kind of glitching out. So I do think that I will change it out into something else. Yes, there we go. I changed it. I knew it. I knew myself too well. Like, I was like, I really had to change that bed. And I'm just so happy that I did it here because hashtag goals. And that was a very short-lived goals situation, you know, like I expected I had to work my butt off to design a build just so I can use that bed, but I was able to use it. I'm so proud of myself. And yeah, by the way, I finished this thing like maybe 2 weeks ago or something. Yeah, I finished this around the time that Vampires came out. So I mean, I kind of forgot a lot of things. So if I sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, then that's so true. I really don't know what I'm talking about. And this is the area that I was talking to you guys about, like the bed thing. It's so fun and it's such an interesting thing because this house only has like 2 bedrooms, but it has 3 beds. So if somebody wants to freeload and you don't necessarily like them, you can just have them live here and they'll be fine. No, I'm kidding. This bed was intentionally built to be kind of like an outdoor woohoo area, and that is so scandalous, but I mean, the way people are now, people would probably do it, to be honest. So this topmost level of the house, it's kind of like the most private and secluded area, if that makes any sense. So there is like a wellness thing. There's like some yoga mats and stuff. You know, just basically things to unwind and to pretty much escape from society and stuff. Like, you know, if there's a party downstairs and if the host is having an overwhelming time, they can come here to escape and meditate for a little bit. I don't know. They'll be fine. You know, if people pass out from being too drunk, they could just be on this bed. And oh my gosh, the major freaking voice cracks. Oh my gosh, there should be like a compilation of me just cracking my voice, but whatever. I also love those kind of Indian themed or Oriental theme wall decorations on either side of the bed. I really love those. It's such a beautiful painting, and I feel like it looks really relaxing as well. That's why it's there, because, you know, like I said, this area is supposed to be like really relaxing. So yeah, and also once again, adding like 10,000 candles right next to fabric and hashtag major fire hazard. I actually surprisingly took a lot of time to decorate that area, but it looks like it's about to be finished. I did take out some of those clutter in the end because I felt like it was a little bit too busy and it didn't need so much stuff going on. And yeah, over here we have like the yoga mat, and in front of it there is like there's a candle. Once again, it's a freaking candle. I really wanted to use, though, that kind of like coffee table that has like a built-in fireplace inside of it. That was amazing, but it was a little bit too big. So instead, I decided to just place this table with an incense burner on top of it, and it's actually turned out really nice. But anyway, the rest of the hallways I will decorate off camera, as well as that one office area. So yeah, looks like that is going to be it for the speed build. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up my commentary right here. Let's go ahead and cut into the floor plans. And yeah, once again, I'm really proud of this build, so hopefully you guys will support it by supporting my channel as well. I definitely have a lot more builds to show you guys, and it's gonna be an amazing couple of weeks because I have a bunch of really interesting builds coming up in the future. So anyway, like I said, that is going to be it for this part. Once again, please don't forget to hit that like, favorite, and subscribe button if you guys want to support the channel, because it really helps out a lot, okay? You all have an awesome day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Enjoy the rest of the video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.